All right. My name is Chris Campbell. I'm a practicing CPA and I work with small businesses, individuals to help them pay the least amount of taxes possible by keeping them out of jail. So today I wanted to talk about putting a spouse on payroll. So if you're a small business owner and you're wondering about putting your spouse on payroll, this was a question that was posed to me the other day from one of my business clients. So they wanted to know if there are any tax benefits from placing their spouse on payroll. I wanted to go through it just to let you know. And the answer is it depends. I would really say you have to be in a very specific situation where it may make sense to have a spouse on payroll. The first thing is your company should be either actually be one or taxed as one, and that's an S corporation. If you're set up as a regular LLC and taxed as a regular LLC, don't see that as really much sense to do. If it's just you should be either taxed as an S corporation or an actual corporation, or even a C in some instances. If you are a single member LLC, and then it's pretty tough to justify putting a spouse on payroll. In most instances, it really only makes sense from a retirement plan standpoint. So in most instances, if you're thinking about doing this, more than likely file the joint return together. So you more than likely file a joint return together. Any payroll that you pay out to your spouse, it all winds up on your personal tax return anyway. In normal circumstances, you're really just paying a bunch of payroll taxes on top of that, and you're pretty much paying the same level of taxes. So it's a deduction for the company, but it is an additional W-2 on your personal. So in most instances, it doesn't really add up to do it from that standpoint. The one instance though, where it does make sense is if you're doing it from a retirement plan standpoint, where you have a retirement plan within your company and your spouse essentially have all of their payroll contributed to the retirement plan. So for example, if you have a 401k plan, and as an employee, you can contribute, what is it? I'm not sure. It goes up every year. I'm doing this in 2024. I'm not sure what it is, but it's roughly 23,000, somewhere between 22 and 25K. So the year, again, it goes up every year. So what you could do is have your spouse on payroll for pretty much that exact amount. Say the 25K, you'll probably have to do a little more because you do have to pay the payroll taxes on that, the social security tax on that. So that's roughly 15%, but you max it out. They're still putting in 20 some odd K, 25K or so in the plan. And it's essentially a zero payroll. So outside of the payroll taxes will already be withheld, your spouse will have essentially a zero W-2 because all of their salary, that 5K or so, is going directly to the 401k. And then as a company, you get a write-off for that 20 some odd K in salary that you're paying, but it's going directly to your 401k or retirement plan. So it's a good tool to use to sock away additional funds for retirement because you as the individual have your limits, that 25K or so for yourself, but you have to be careful with that because with an employer match, if you have other employees, it's hard to discriminate. If you max out a match for yourself, for your spouse, if your employees are eligible, you have to do it for them too. So you may not rush to match as much as you would yourself. So the matching can get a little dicey, but the straight up 25K or so that you could contribute as an employee contribution, it's a tremendous tool to use to sock away additional funds for retirement. So whether that be with spouses, that's also a practice that you may be able to do with your kids if they aren't working as well. So those are usually the circumstances where it makes sense to put your spouse on payroll, really just from a retirement savings standpoint. As far as a reduction in income, you're not really going to get too much of that. Again, assuming that you are filing together. So you want to use that tool to build up retirement savings. So that's all for now. I hope this was helpful. If you have any more questions about this topic or any other tax accounting related issues, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. All right. So that's all for now, and I'll talk to you in the next one.